Hello, everybody. Sorry for the delay. I'm Zia Leonard from R2M. I'll be moderating along with Klaus today the Circular and Bio-Based Building Solutions workshop. So here's the agenda. We have first up Bio for EEB. Klaus will be presenting. Klaus is from 3L in Germany. Then we have BIOMAT project with Joanna from Senzi in Portugal. And then we have MEZeroE presented by Fabrizio from R2M Italy. And finally, CE4Con presented by Alessandro from Foci Spa, Italy. And then we'll do a discussion with everyone, hopefully very fruitful, with very interesting and stimulating topics to discuss. And then we'll wrap it up. So let's get started without further ado. It's Klaus. So do you want to come up here and speak?
What if I say no?
Well, you have no choice at this point. Here, just
I have no option. So
you just hit the down button and the whole stage is...
Okay, is there a pointer available?
I don't
It's
think
not,
so.
okay. Yeah, thanks a lot for the introduction and good afternoon, everybody. My name you heard already, Klaus Loick. I'm managing director of an architectural firm from Germany. The name is 3L, and 3L sounds like 3M, tape producer or whatever. And there's always a question, what the hell is 3L? That 3L is really, the name is just capital L is the last name of the founders of the company. So it's Loick, Lenzer, and Lenzer. Three starting with capital L. We tried to build up a brand anyway, so you see some cappuccinos with an L branding, you see some socks and whatever. This was just for pleasure, for sure. Sweets were always quite well appreciated in Asia when we were going that way. So we are working internationally and do a lot of R&D work. I was involved in about 40 national and international projects. And what I'm going to introduce to you today is one of the recent ones. So quite easy because it's like being in school. I'm in first class. We are in 6 months of the project. I can give you a rough outline of what it is and what it is about and what are the targets. But the real objectives, results and everything will come out a bit later. Okay, the company was founded in 1989. And we call this family business because this Lenzer, Loick and Lenzer are all relatives. It's unbelievable, but true. Why don't call it then Lenzer, Loick and Lenzer? Because in my hometown, these names are quite often. And even another architectural firm was called Lenzer, another was called Loick, and not relatives of us. So we had to differentiate a bit. Now it's like this. Okay, to my person, education, whatever, I studied civil engineering first. Then I decided it's much easier to be an architect. So I studied architecture. And end of the day, it was more or less like going back to technical issues as well. So we were really driven by Bauhaus ideas. So doing holistically a lot of things from different perspectives. And I'm an accredited expert by government for building physics. And I'm lecturing at the University of Applied Sciences in Dortmund at the same time, the master class about metal facades and application of metal facades to make students a little bit more aware about environment, what can be done. So we're doing the technical things as well and even the energy concepts. This is more or less a team. Some are youngsters, just growing up, 4, 7, 8, 10, 12 years old. So a lot of kids in the office, quite nice. See the slopes on the back. We used them in Corona times because we had a lot of space and all the kids were in and were doing urban planning with huge boxes. So really nice to do that. The senior, you can see in the middle, this is my father-in-law, 90 years old, coming every day to the office and says, it's so boring to just be in the garden. Okay, now it's getting serious. We talk about bio-based building materials and bio-insulation materials for enhancing the energy performance of buildings. When we wrote the proposal, there was something special. It was about Ukraine war, material shortage, looking for alternatives, being really quite closely embedded in the situation. not too much energy impact should be given to materials, availability, logistics. So everything that is more or less on top of the discussion at the moment was in this area. And we said, okay, what to do? The idea is to collect some products. So we have foams, we have windows out of foams, and we are working with Posidonia. Does it say anything to you, Posidonia? Okay. Posidonia is a plant that is grown in the sea between 10 and 40 meters deep. It is nature protected, which is a sort of a problem, because if you want to use it as a building material, how to do this? Not a problem, because if you remember these old Western movies, and there were always these straw balls in the wind, and they just drove it through the streets. Now the Posidonia you find at beaches. You see the small collected balls. And the idea was, how come this material comes out of water? So it has no problem with humidity, which is interesting. If you have condensate in a wall element, for example, this is for sure interesting. And the thermal insulation is, I would say, as good as regular material, but it's even bio-based. And if it's on the beach and not in the water, it is declared as waste. In that case, what we do here with the Posidonia is upgrading. It's an upgrading solution. We take waste and create typical panels for thermal insulation out of it. Again, month 6, so what are the technicians doing that are developing now panels and things like this? They are testing, they're combining materials. It's like cooking in the kitchen. New ingredients and just find out what is the optimum solution. It's really promising what we hear, meaning it might be possible that the U value of the thermal insulation created like this is better than of mineral or glass wool. At the same time, fire resistance is not as bad as for the material. And to make it even more complicated, because if you want to have a real innovative solution, raise the complexity until you're almost insane, we said the material is there. It is not developed in terms of being used as a material that is directly applicable on site. There's no certification, so we develop the material, we certify it. At the same time, we say, okay, why not directly demonstrating this? And then you know that we are really in trouble. It's a dilemma in all the building markets for sure. It's a question that certification issues kill you. It takes a lot of time and money at the same time. So we do it parallel. We have 5 demonstration projects, preferably retrofitting, and we want to prove that using these products that are developed, Posidonia and windows out of bio-based foam, these products will directly implemented, and we promise that we have a payback time of less than 7 years, which is ambitious, definitely. And we will cut the energy up to a certain extent, and at the same time, we reduce the VOC emissions using bio-based material. So this is more or less the plan, because it's not hazardous biomaterial that we use. The user centricity, this is very important. Why? Because if you reach the building market with a new product, what we learned is the biggest competitor is the existing solution, even if it's worse than the new one. Why? Because it has to be established, not just in terms of certification. Architects are looking for references, for example. Even investors look for references. Was it used already? Is it now used for 5 years, better for 10 years? And will it be stable for the whole time? So for sure, we have to be very close to the user experience, user story things, and try to find out what is moving really the people to use the material. Bio-based, I already explained. Circularity, very important, as we are using waste in terms of Posidonia, for example. For sure, we can directly talk about an upgrade of something, and if it is done, we can even give it back to the circle and make the same out of it again. So it's the same level, it's not downcycling. Decision support system, the plan is to have the storage on a data platform, sort of an e-marketplace. And in this e-marketplace, we will find all data needed for the people that want to apply material or products. And at the same time, we have an MCDA combined with that, multi-criteria decision analysis, that should help end user and even more sophisticated like engineers to really find out what is a real good combination in terms of LCC and LCA. This is more or less the fields of action that we have identified for the project itself. And why can this be really successful? Because we said it's a question of enlarging the grip on the value chain. This is really important. So for mining the material, as I explained it about Posidonia and collecting it, we have a scale effect booster because we build components out of it. We start with the raw material and then we enhance the quality and the application potential. In that case, you have some plates, you have some windows. In terms of the mining, for sure, you have other materials. See in the middle, there's some Posidonia panels, fibers, and forms. And we say why? Because it has higher positive environmental impact, lower VOCs emissions, it's lightweight and easy application. The application of the product, and this is, I think, very important, talking about what I have said before about biggest competitor, old product. The application is almost the same because it's layers of thermal insulation, as we know from regular market, and windows that look like windows. And the mounting is not that far away from what is done today. Okay, our work package structure, I think this is something that you might have seen from other projects as well. Quite easy. We have an exploitation and business model work package that takes care for sorting the key yards. At the moment it's about 7, but it seems that it's raising. We are quite early in the project. And this tricky thing is about work package 2 and work package 3 interaction, because 2 is about the contextualization. We are collecting specification needs and permission needs for everything. And this, because I did not mention it explicitly, not just for the European hemisphere, but we have an associated partner from Latin America, which is really interesting because we want to really raise the highest potential of replication potential. This is very important even to prove that if it's just a 3% Posidonia, for example, share of materials that you can create and use in terms of thermal insulation, you have to create a huge and a big market, and for sure Latin America is quite interesting. Noticing that the partner from Latin America, Cameco, is really involved, deeply involved in certification issues, gives some extra pressure on us to be even in line with the demands of this market. Okay, so the demo cases. As I was mentioning before, develop some material, not having the certification for the application, at the same time demonstrating we're working at 2 levels. Level number 1 is that we have virtual demo cases we use as use cases in order to balance all technical and scientific results against the needs of this project. And we have 5 real demo cases. How do they look like? Regularly, it could be something like this. On the top left-hand side, you see an old building. It's from the 1950s something. And it has a real big need of being retrofitted in any kind. So what we do now is we dismantle the building, we take the roof away, add a new story, and enhance the facade on the right and left-hand side. And as an energy interesting impact, we add a swimming pool in the garden that is run for the whole year just with PV and heat pump. So air-to-air heat pump. A really huge one, driven by the photovoltaic, but then it's possible. And for sure, we were interested now to apply some products out of Bio4EEB. So for the rooftop extension, just this one here, we take the Posidonia panels, and on this side, the windows on one side are all covered with biofoam windows. For sure, as always in the EU-funded project, the demonstration funding is limited. So I think we have 30,000 euro for mounting issues, just mounting of the elements. And in fact, it will be 60, 70,000 euro that we might invest in new products that are implemented. Therefore, we cannot do the whole building with it. And this is the case for all of the demonstration cases that we handle it like this. So, they are in different geo-clusters, as always expected. There's always a question about what about environmental impact and logistics. You find Posidonia in the Mediterranean hemisphere. Now you have to go to Norway or to somewhere else to demonstrate it. And for sure, this is a discussion that we are aware of. It's a question of ethics of material or component application, and we take care for this. The consortium is widespread. You see, we cover almost all of Europe, from north to south, east to west, and additionally, as already mentioned, Latin America, which gives us an extra push. Okay. There are some materials produced already. We have a wonderful leaflet summarizing everything about the impact. And summary is here that we have 30% of what you cannot read and I cannot read, unfortunately. But we have a leaflet available. Mostava produced it, and I think he has some to share. Maybe Mostava, we have enough for all of them, so we should just give it out. So it's definitely about energy consumption. It's about costs as well. So the promises are really high rated and will drive us through the project because it's so demanding. This is the consortium. Consortium itself, maybe you know some of the companies. One you will know for sure, which is R2M. I don't know what they are really doing here, but I have a clue about this. You know that they are doing this conference, and I would like to thank you for giving me the opportunity just to introduce this early stage of the project. And I think we will wrap up at the end and give the opportunity for some questions then at the end, right?
Yeah, I think maybe we should save the questions, but if there's any burning desires, I have a lot of questions. But
Really?
I mean, I'm very curious about any references. You mentioned that that's important. Are there existing references?
No, there cannot be existing references. This is a tricky way about this R&D project. Regularly, we would do sort of applied research. So there is a material that has a certification. You do a new product out of it, and you just take care for, is the application possible? Is it okay in any kinds of technical or juristical or legal or whatever things, you know? But this project is tricky because we don't have the project. We develop it parallel. And this is the reason why we need the demonstrators to build our own references. Out of other bio-based building materials, there are a lot of references. But we think that this is really a totally interesting thing, because the chosen ones have a better performance than the existing ones in the market. And for sure, if we want to be a substitute, and this is the objective, we want to be a substitute better performing, then first of all, make the product, the material, the component as good as possible, and then build up your own references. This is the plan.
I'll save the rest of my questions, but does anyone else have?
Please.
Hello. First of all, I'm a big fan of the project.
Oh.
I understand that it's more sustainable, have a better environmental impact, and it's easy application, and it's lower in CO2 emissions. But in terms of actual efficiency, in terms of insulation, how is that tested? Is there a simulation that is run, or just about the actual efficiency of the insulation itself?
Okay. If we compare it with regular, I would say, legal aspects, and I can give you an outline on the German way of thinking. We have the so-called GEG, and following the GEG, you have to follow, at the end of the day, U values for windows, for thermal insulation, for the total performance of the building's envelope, and so on, compared with different sources of energy that you put in, and so on. But what we learned already, and this was a short outlook that I gave to Posidonia, the performance could be even better than with existing panels out of glass wool or mineral wool. And this would be really a big bang. Because the material has the same performance in terms of sound insulation. Stiffness is quite interesting. Again, fire resistance is quite interesting. Humidity is extremely interesting because, you know, if you have condensate falling out in this level, for sure, the water is ongoingly through this and you get some salt out of it, washed out of it, out of this mineral pool, for example. So, for sure, we are really almost at the beginning and we are listening quite carefully what the technical partners are telling us, where they are, what they are heading for. And we just had a 2-day GA yesterday, the day before him, and going on. Proceed. I hope that answers your question. Good.
All right, thanks. Let's save the rest of the questions. Fabrizio, are you next?
No,
Can you go to the next slide?
Okay.
Thanks, Klaus.
Just to do a quick test. Yeah, no. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Thank you for your presence here. I'm Joanna. I'm a researcher at Functional Materials Department from CENTI. CENTI is a multi-sectorial research center from Portugal that promotes activities activities of research, technological development, innovation, and engineering in the fields of smart and functional materials and systems, and works both with EU-funded projects and national-funded projects, and also private projects directly with companies. I'm here today to present a bit about BIOMAT project. BIOMAT is a EU-funded project, and it aims to establish open innovation testbed to provide service for a wide range of European industries and SMEs in order to accelerate and facilitate innovation of nano-enabled bio-based cellular materials. We are a consortium of 26 partners divided in 8 different countries. And I believe that most of us are familiar with what is an open innovation testbed, but I will make a quick presentation about the topic. Open innovation testbed is a set of entities providing access to physical facilities, capabilities, and services required for developing, testing, and upscaling nanotechnology and advanced materials innovation. The Open Innovation Testbeds allows to bring the nanotechnology and advanced materials to within reach for companies and users. It's open access at a reasonable conditions and prices, and can be used by individual teams, institutions, academia, research organizations, small and medium companies. Basically, everybody can access the Open Innovation Testbed. A little bit of BIOMAT concept. BIOMAT aims to take agriculture and forest residues and extract biocomponents that can be used in the production of rigid and soft semi-rigid foams that can then be used in the construction sector as sandwich and isolation material, in the automotive as the cushions from the seats and the steering wheels, in furniture as couch, sofas, mattress, etc. It uses fiber, lignin, cellulose, silica, and cellulose nanocrystals, and enhances the properties of fire retardant, antimicrobial and antifungal, and hydrophobicity. And in parallel is working with vegetable oils to produce rich, compliant foams that can be used also in this whole chain. With those biocomponents, we can then produce prepegs and composites, bioporologic foams, lignin adhesives and adhesive promoters, and soft and flexible biopore foams that can now be used in these various sectors. At the end, all of these materials can be recycled and reintroduced in the process, this way promoting a circular economy within the activity. Within the project, we are going to work with 4 different demonstrators, a lining for road tunnels that is waterproofing, insulation panels and sandwich, seat cushions and a steering wheel, and also furniture that is not appearing in the image, but we are going to produce some chairs and sofas and mattresses, all of this to test our capacity to produce these materials with waste as our resource. We have 12 pallet lines that allow us to do the upscale of this technology, and also various services that range from digital twin approach to business plan development to mentoring on fundraisers, LCA and LCC, and all of these can be provided as a service within the Open Innovation Testbed that is being set up within this project. And in this way, we can make accessible information and facilities and technology that some companies do not have access to. The Open Innovation Testbed is operated via a single entry point. That is like a small company that is being birthed during this project that does the bridge between the customers and the services. So if, let's imagine one of us decides to use the Open Innovation Testbed to try some research, you will contact BIOMAT SAP, and then we'll see which of the 26 partners are the most adequate to give you the response, and then put both of them in contact. At the moment, we are working on open tenders because to test the concept of the BIOMAT Open Innovation Testbed, we are making open tenders to test the services we are providing. These open tenders is divided in 4 phases. The proposal submission. We have already a submission in January of this year, and we are now starting those services. So the customers submit the proposal to the open tender. Those proposals are evaluated from SAP, the BIOMAT SAP, and the partners that will do the work. Then there is the service execution that can go from 3 to 6 months, depending on what is going to be done, and then the delivery of the results at the end. As I told you, we already had an open call between January and March of 2023, and we are going to open a second call if anyone is interested. We are going to open a second call. We hope that it's in June, but it may delay a little bit, but will be between June and August of this year. The open tender is held at SAP platform. It's everyone can have access to the platform. If anybody of you have questions at the end, I can clarify it. It's accessible via that link or that QR code. And at the site, we have a service catalog with more detail of everything that we are able to do and that can help you with. Also, on regards of the new open tender that we are going to open soon, we are also holding a free workshop. That is a hybrid workshop. It will be held in Germany on 20th of July this year, but you can also have access via online. The link is below. And thank you very much. I don't know if anybody has any questions.
I certainly do. I guess I'll go first. You mentioned there's 12 pilot lines.
Yes.
Can you explain a bit more? And then also maybe that, how does the tender, they're applying to test the services?
Yes,
Can you-
we have 12. Between those 26 partners, we have 12 pilot lines that allow us to do various things in the process that we do, from extraction of biomaterials of products. For example, at Senti, we have the capacity to extract silica from agricultural waste and dope it, so the silica has fire retardant properties and hydrophobicity properties. And within the 26 partners, we have those 12 pilot lines with different capabilities. So one can do the extraction, one can produce the biopolyol, another one can produce the foams, the rigid foams, the insulation panels, etc. And besides this, we also provide as a service these different services that are not less technical, because pilot lines are literally equipments, big equipments that allow us to go from a large scale, a small large scale, to big productions. We also have services that we can provide together with the production. For example, if you want to do the extraction of something and then a business plan development, that can also be provided together in the service of open tender.
So the tender applicant is applying to test one of the services?
Yes. At the end of the project, we want to have this as a service. So we want to have the 12 pallet lines and this service all available to everybody to contact the BIOMAT SEP, that is the little company that we are birthing, to allow us to provide this as a service. In the open test bed, in the open tender, we are providing this at no cost in order to test if it is feasible or not feasible and adjust accordingly.
Sorry, so these services are for the producer of the materials, not for the users?
It's,
For the manufacturing companies, construction companies?
this is a research phase. So let's see if, for example, Klaus was trying to test the production of panels in some way. He could test it within our facilities for the production of biopolyol, and then couple it with one of these services, for example, LCA, to check if it's better for the environment or not, or a business plan to see how it will be marketable, this new innovation.
So it is for the complete product, not only for the material. So if you have a bio-based foam or the oil you mentioned,
No, it doesn't need to be a product at the end. You can do just a moment. For example, you can provide silicas and then the customer uses as they will.
I have one question related to the synchronous point. BIOMAT TP is a no-profit profit entity. Do you already develop it?
This BIOMAT is a project, a European funded project that has 26 companies in it. And we are working on the production of these materials within the project. But the main objective of the project is at the end be able to provide these different components as service in an open innovation test bed. So anybody can access via SEP, that is the entity that we are creating. SEP. Via SEP, it's an entity that we are creating, and then they can contact us in order to have this as a service. And
Okay.
it doesn't need to be a complete service. So we don't need to extract, produce, and at the end we give you a steering wheel. We don't need to do all of them. Just can reach and grab whatever the customer wants.
Okay, but this entity is which kind of legal entity? as it? So it's a non-profit, profit out.
I believe it's a non-profit, but the services at this moment are free, but in the future will not be free. So they will have a cost to the customer, fair cost, but they will have one. So at least we'll pay the salary of the person that checks the candidates, because the single entry point, the SEP, is just a bridge. So single entry point does not have any pilots. They just know who has it, and there's a contract with them that they signed it saying that they will provide services for SEP. Any more burning questions?
I think we can move on. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon. Thanks for joining our workshop. Just a few words about me. I'm Fabrizio Carlotta, innovation consultant in virtual solutions, and actually I don't need to present the company. I assume that all of you know about it. But in this presentation, specific presentation related to MEZeroE, we will present the platform that we developed in the framework of the project. That we will share the principle, what is behind the visions, and also what is the application of the open innovation approach in our platform. So what is the principle? Basically, MEZeroE, it's an open innovation testbed as well as a project, and aims to create an ecosystem, an open innovation ecosystem, which aim to develop nearly zero energy building envelope solutions. That's the core actually of the platform. Another idea is to transfer knowledge and to match the testing, so each the demand, the offer with in the building sector. Plus, we are implementing living labs where there will be monitoring of these solutions, and we develop also the cutting edge solution related to the support to the single and medium enterprise and also large industry. What are the objectives of the project? Basically, the idea is the first part of the project is to develop the ecosystem. So it's to develop the pilot line measurement, the verification line, the open innovation services, plus also identify and modeling the ecosystem approaches, and to develop the virtual marketplace that we are going to show in the later stage. Then the second step of the project is to validate this open innovation testbed through the validation of the protocols and the comprehensive approach for indoor and environmental quality control. Plus, the idea is also to identify new opportunities to tackle societal challenges by overcoming regulatory, economic, and technical barriers, which is actually the idea behind of MEZeroE to overcome this fragmentation in the building sector, so that our marketplace and ecosystem can put together all the actors of the value chain for the building sector enterprise. And last but not least, we would like to set up a long-term sustainability in terms of business, in terms of development of this ecosystem and the marketplace. So divisions. The project is composed by the virtual marketplace, which embraces all the 9 pilot lines, so MEZeroE and renovation lines, which are different type of pilot line that we will see in later stage. And then there will be the free open innovation services, which are services related to transversal topic, which can be the CE marking, the indoor environmental quality measurement, but also some open innovation services related to support the company, the SME, and also the large industry. At the same time, there will be the real building as the living RAM, the living labs, which assets were building monitoring. You have the possibility, each manufacturer, to join the marketplace and choose a living lab in all Europe to test the proper solutions for being developed. Last but not least, there are other type of services related to non-technical services, which training, business model development, also IP support, and other specific services which aim to cut the bridge, to close the gap between the market and the technology development. A MEZeroE virtual marketplace. At the end, it's a multi-site digital platform which includes all the value chain of this ecosystem and include all these stakeholders into the building develop in ecosystem. So the industrial players, which is a specific focus for the small and medium companies, the academic research, public authorities, citizen, business expert and investor, last but not least also some service provider which support potentially all the process for the big envelope development. So at the end we would like to create a platform which connect group and single stakeholders and create matchmaking opportunities. In practice, how would we like to implement this open innovation approach inside the platform? So there is a decision tree that we are developing by our colleague from ICT team, which a manufacturer can enter in the platform, set specific needs, and through a decision tree can ask, identify some which services they needed, and also what they need to meet this type of needs. Plus, the manufacturer and the service provider can connect to the platform, discuss, use the platform to connect and exchange arrangement, also services, and also the type of information that can be news, event, other type of information that can be an added value for the manufacturers. So all the manufacturers will be encouraged to make a contribution to the platform. There will be free registration, so you can join. Everybody is welcome to join. And then there will be a specific decision trees inside each block of the pilot line of the Open Innovation Service, the Living Labs, to discuss which type of need the manufacturer, the service provider, they can arrange together. This is a screenshot actually of the platform how is this stage. There are different type of sessions. The first is the Open Innovation Services, which is related to Open Innovation Services that the project will offer. The second is the MEZeroE verification pilot line. The third is related to living laboratories. And then there will be success story, the resources, the news event. That's essential that each pilot line or Open Innovation Services or expert can use to promote their services and try to attract the manufacturer, which will be served inside the platform. Last but not least, there is a private area. The private area is a dedicated page with each one pilot line or each provider for Open Innovation Service provider or expert can register. It can exchange informations, match quotation as well, in specific to some pilot line, but always Open Innovation Services. We have 3 Open Innovation Services. The standard framework procedure for certification marking, so it's the first one, and then we develop some sub-services. In this case, a manufacturer can simply go to the platform and select which sub-service needed and request the sub-services to the Open Innovation Service expert. The same it works for also for the open innovation services too, which is the cost effectiveness smart kit for living labs, which mainly for the indoor quality monitoring for the post occupancy evaluations and acoustic performance studies. And the third is related to the open innovation life cycle management, which is the expert related to mentorship, accessing to new market, so market analysis, technology roadmap. So there is a kind of path to help the manufacturer to understand how to bring build the envelope into the market. And plus there is other type of support which is can be the envelope package configurator or some also event management. There is a specific also for the services for the expert, for those who provide these open innovation services, which is open not only for the consortium, will be open also for external providers. It will be possible to register and then wait for our validations. Then when we validate through our CV, our reference, they can provide services and also to the manufacturer and become the members of our ecosystem. The pilot lines. We have 9 pilot lines. They are different type of pilot lines. These are the pilot lines provided by our partners. They are quite different. These are, as explained by Joanna, they are equipment that are being developed inside the organizations. They can be related to the BD log for the indoor environmental qualities or other type of thermal performance analysis. There are different type of pilot lines, and if there will be a possibility to select the pilot line from the manufacturers, and then the manufacturer can request the quotations, how much it costs to test in the pilot line a specific product. So this is the idea of the open innovation approach, which should be an exchange of information and enhance the matchmaking between demand and offer of the market. The path to register for the pilot line owners is on the private area. So you can register yourself. You fill in a form when you can you add all the informations and then all the details, contact details, and then you have also you become requested to become a client. Or you can also receive requests for the clients. Plus, the pilot line can also post news, other type of event, additional information to promote their pilot line, their services. Living lab owners, we have also developing this living lab, the concept of living lab, which is basically they are buildings where there are occupants that they can test each product in a real life environment. This is not a simple demo site, but in this case it will be kind of more advanced say, testing. You can register as a living lab owners and insert your living lab in the marketplace and receive the request from the manufacturer to test the living lab. So you have a possibility also to test your product in real life scenarios. Okay, that's the platform. At the end, we are developing the platform, and it will be officially published in January 2024. But at the moment, the idea is to have to recruit basically the ambassadors, our ambassadors of our platform, which are the, let's say, our ambassador of the platform. So we will develop a training in November, December, in the second half of this year for the ambassador. And so the next step will be also to have the early adopter, which are experts in a specific domain, in order to create a critical mass in this open innovation ecosystem. The idea is to populate this marketplace together in order to meet the demand and offer of the sector of the building envelopes. If you would like to become ambassadors or early adopters, you can send an email to innovation@electronsolution.com. So we are going to set up a list, and then you will invite into a training and also to specific path how to join the platform, the marketplace. So I don't know if I have time, if I can show a bit the platform.
No,
if I have
no,
time.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think actually what may not be clear to everyone is that one of the partners is developing I think it's the same partner in bio for EEB, developing panels, because you didn't touch on circularity or bio-based anything. So what is the link? Is this open to producers of circular or bio-based solutions? Like, I don't understand the link with this workshop specifically.
It's we would like to have the ecosystem approach. So we have the big networks that they can have some circularity, some reuse and recycle after the project. So this is why we have this platform as well. So one part of the manufacturer that we choose as a registration in the form, there will be a potential path for circularity in their product.
The overlapping is raised the platform itself, because MEZeroE is focused on building envelope products, and BIOMAT develop insulation for envelope and fabricated facade for envelope itself. So this is the connection between BIOMAT as building envelope bio-based product and MEZeroE.
Which focus both partner and focus electron, both partner and both project.
Thanks. Any other questions? All right, I think we have one more, and then we'll do Alessandro, and then we'll have a discussion.
Last project. This is Novacom project. I'll be quite short presenting you. I'm Alessandro Procucci, Innovation Manager at Foci Group. That is, in this case, in the workshop, present in 3 projects. This CE4Con, BIOMAT, because we provide prefabricated facade with bio-based material and circularity approach, and in MEZeroE as industrial players proposing a solution to be tested by the platform. In CE4Con, Circular Economy for Construction, I'm going to introduce you a possible solution to target data about circularities and understand if the product as designed as a complex system can be understandable during the design stages. Can the information be shared among different players in the different stages of development to provide data of the final result to the user. Brief outline, so the context, where this project is set up, and CE4Con based on objective, then going to test and further development. So, the first point, where we work on this aspect. The construction sector is responsible for the waste generation, a lot of waste generation, and extracted materials. So, construction sector need to work to reduce this aspect. All the mining activities that Klaus just mentioned can come from waste, as a Posidonia can be considered after the end, but also from building itself. And in this scheme, we return more or less what is the expectation in the building industry about circularity. So materials used for construction that can have a further life after the end of life of the building itself, and they can be recovered somehow. So, why this? Because, first of all, mining materials with raw materials, prime materials, means to consume more than not recovering material from dismantling building. It's fundamental with this approach to start working in design new products to support this kind of approach. The demolition materials is part of the problem now, because it's disposed in the majority of the case. We need to start sourcing from these waste material from construction and recover it in different systems. And last point, work with specific stages to boost on accurate and selective disassembly process. This is crucial. So here comes the objective of the project. To support the design production stage, to understand better these parameters, and to serve the overall value chain among the construction sector, with specific on building level and facade, to provide technical information, sustainable information and assessment, as well as understand what is the circularities of this project. Here's comes CE4Con. CE4Con is a funded project within the open call of Kiko's 4.0 research project. So it's a very short project, 8 months. We are 6 months, but in August will be the last month. So we are in the middle of all integration. And the expectation is to use 2 existing software provided by the partners, platform for circularity and augmented reality software to be integrated with tools coming from the Kikos project, in particular related to the manufacturing activities for facade. So a PLM, LCA tool assessment, and blockchain. Here the partners are okay, Foki, facade company specialized in bespoke high technological facade. So we try to design from scratch each product. Olonix, that is an ICT company providing one of the platform, and Materially, that is specialized in product impact, sustainability, LCA, and this aspect. First, scale of analysis. The circular value chain where facade is. In this scheme, we want to show us facade, and with facade, I'm going to show you what we consider as this is part of a more complex value chain. There is a supply chains by insulation providers, profile providers, membranes provider, metal sheets providers. There can be entry systems, screws, so a lot of suppliers. There is facade as a manufacturing itself with energy consumption, cutting machine activities, production line, logistic outbound, and so on. And there is the end of life, the installation, the maintenance of the facade, and the end of life. All of these stages need to be considered designing the facade itself. And with CE4Con, the platform aims to target some specific stages, the one of designing activities and decision phase, to support the definition of the best impact to boost circularity. This is a facade use case. So the platform of CE4Con will be designed for complex system. This is a prefabricated system, and all these components will be included within the platform to understand, first of all, the scalability for prefabricated facade, but also for complex systems. So being a complex system means to work in the most articulated scenario. So if we need to simplify because we work only with insulation materials, as the one we are working in Bio4B, let's say that we can use the platform tracking specific materials for that insulation, but so for all other materials. This facade, so to achieve this final prefabricated component, there are a lot of different layers. There are more or less 100 components within a prefabricated facade. All these components working in circularity, in sustainability, environmental impact, and understanding need to be known, and the information tracked during all the value chain. And this is the use case. So the facade as a complex system become a circular entity. This is the basic unit we implement within the platform. So all the components are tracked as a single component, and together they contribute in the circular entities that is the full facade. the circular entities, and each component of these circular entities, let's consider that each circular entity itself can be part, each component of the circular entity facade is a circular entity itself, because considering a profile of a facade, this profile needs to have a bar to be extruded, protruded by a provider, need to be cut, machining, treatment before the installation. So it includes a lot of information related to circularities, supply chain, impact, and so on. So each circular entities bring attributes. Attributes include material with density, with specific GWP of the materials, recyclability content, or recyclability opportunity at the end of life, and all these attributes need to be defined. The result is a platform. Let's say the platform is a tool useful to address circularity in the construction sector. And this is how we design the platform itself, with CE4Con in the middle, but receiving input by all different stages and players involved. So the users putting information manually, can be the facade designer, can be the environmental manager of the company, putting data inside, but information can come from the PLM, so the technical database for the information about the component of the facade, and the information can move to the other tool. We need to track how is the carbon footprint for the component. Let's take from a database from the LCA the specific information for that specific material. Then calculate with all the materials what is the final LCA of the facade, and providing information in the database itself as a possible solution for further activities. But also, this information can be shared with a blockchain instrumentation. The blockchain aims to provide a quality check, a immutable quality check of the data, so nobody can change. So eventually, once inside the data, the blockchain can guarantee that this data cannot be changed. So also this approach, and this information can need to be tracked during design phase, but also during end of life. If we want to be circular, we need to track in the early stage, designing, manufacturing, installation, this information, but then after 10, 20, 50 years of living with the building, knowing that those information are available somewhere. That somewhere can be the platform or database itself. So, focusing on this part, because the other part are ongoing under implementation, I'm going to show you briefly how it works, the data input within the platform. This is the CE4Con platform. Sorry. So this is the... Anyway, not working. I'm going to show you if I upload the image. The platform gives the opportunity to collect data for all the circular entities. So the facade as circular entities is defined. Each facade component defines other circular entities. So a circular entity for insulation, a circular entity for profile, a circular entity for gasket, a circular entity for metal sheet, and so on forever. Each circular entities has its own attributes. Attributes mean does not work, no problem. Reset it. Here we are. So the platform helps to keep track of this information. Now tracking, let's say, mainly in a manual way, I say. So the idea is to introduce this information differently. Yeah. Okay. Finally, the information. We'll present you the video another time, not working now. Finally, the information can be tracked at the end of life. So thanks to augmented reality, the idea is to support the dismantling of the facade or other building component systems, addressing what are the components and where they need to be disposed. So they are still, okay, I, as a dismantler, can identify that component thanks to augmented reality and relation between BIM model and data from the platform is steel, okay, that is the steel part. Aluminium, aluminium. Other insulation, insulation, and so on for everything. So also the platform and augmented reality can support the end of life information tracking, because the problem with building is that they are single prototype, they have a long life expectation, luckily, and after all this time, this information risks to be lost. We are speaking about a lot of information now, but how to keep this data during the time probably will be the question for the next years, because we are speaking about building with a life expectancy of 50 years. So in 50 years, I hope to be here, but I hope to be retired, so I can not provide information about the buildings, but this information should be available somehow. So productivities, integration with the tools to track, to understand LCA, to track technical information by PLM, and Rialto for augmented reality. And validation in a pilot scenario, the case of facade. So we're gonna validate it with the existing facade or the system and how it works or not. Thank you.
You can stay here, all the speakers can come up here. It would be better if you could stay where you are, but the camera is here. And so we need the online audience and the video recording to capture you. So if you could come sit here and we'll have a panel, a little panel discussion. Thank you. So if someone wants to start with a question, they can, otherwise I can. Good. Okay.
I just wanted to ask you something. I'm not sure of this technology. Is it aimed to be applied in retrofitting or existing buildings, or is it just applicable in new construction buildings?
Doesn't matter. It focuses on technological component. So it works for construction system of the building. So this is the case of facade, but can work with all the components of the building. So new or existing investment.
Question for Klaus about the procedure. Since you are using waste, the material that washes ashore, my question is if this waste is enough to have volume to have large scale building installation.
Okay, you're talking about the potential volume that we are creating, collecting the material. And in fact, today, in our GA, we just saw the first facts and figures about an idea about this potential. Yes, for sure, this is an urgent question. And first of all, we wanted to make sure that all demo cases will be served by this. But for sure, it is planned to have a higher potential in this. And maybe this was something that I mentioned already in my presentation. We have to concentrate later on demo sites that are close by in order to get rid of logistics and transport costs and things like this. It's you find it more or less nearby the sea, nearby the ocean, and this gives you an impact idea where we find the most. So when the proposal was written, for sure we did sort of a pre-calculation, and we think and we believe that it's worth to go ahead with it because the potential is really big. I was seeing some slides about collection points in Italy, for example, or even another point is Mallorca, Menorca, Ibiza, where you can find things like this, and it's really amazing how big these piles are. Regularly, you have to clean the beaches from them because, in fact, it's really disturbing people who are going to the beach, and it's a big volume. So, at the moment, We are collecting a lot of data even to make sure about this. What is the potential of a possible production that is going the industrial way?
Thanks. All right, I'm gonna pose a topic, but I just want to move to the first slide. So we only have about 10 minutes, but if everyone can talk briefly, it seems everyone has an e-marketplace or an OITB as the final solution. Can you talk a bit about how much this will rely on external users or providers, or is it mainly the providers that are already in the consortium that can keep it running and scalable? Maybe a bit about the scalability. Just basically that, you know, if everyone can just a few seconds on that.
Okay, so in the case of BIOMAT, all of the pilot lines are independent one from others. So each pilot line and each service provider can work independently without the need of external outputs. The OTB is a way for open access for innovation that we may not think about it. So, for example, a university that is working in a large scale project to test something that can test it in a pilot scale, see if it's feasible, and from then probably scale it up or not. It depends. So I believe that the pilot lines themselves will work without external outputs, but BIOMAT test open innovation testbed will need customers, because that is the intention of the open innovation testbed. But the companies that form the pilot lines and the provide the service will still exist without that. Only the BIOMAT set, the single entry point, will be without any work.
And also, just to add to the question for everyone, is there already existing plans for who will own and operate the marketplace? Is it one partner, all partners, open, X, you know?
In this case, the entity that will run the open innovation testbed will be BIOMAT, that is the company that we are creating within the project. There are other companies that form the consortium, but at the end of the project, there will only be service providers to BIOMAT.
Okay, for MEZeroE, it's crucial to have external customers, external user of the marketplace, and external customers. One important thing is that our pilot line organization, majority are research centers, they joined the project in order to increase their operational time on the pilot lines. So mainly it is a research center, they are aligned also to project like open innovation testbed to, let's say, increase their testing facilities utilization during 1 year time. This is quite crucial. At the same time, we need the critical mass in the marketplace of users registered as a manufacturer, at the same time as a peer consumer, also as a service provider. So we need a kind of a big amount of user for each segment that we are targeting. This is crucial, and we are the ambassador and early adopters schemes. They are targeting this type of approach to scale up, let's say, the use of the marketplace.
So within the project, you plan to promote and collect users and inputs and providers?
Yes, correct. So we start MEZeroE in the first January 2021. It will end in 2025, December. So the last 2 years of the project will be dedicated to development, increase the critical mass, and to set up long-term sustainability of the open innovation testbed.
So Klaus can put up his materials in the platform, basically.
Yeah, maybe this is more or less a sort of a conclusion about this discussion. I'm often very skeptic about business ecosystems, even practicing at this level for 5 to 7 years. So we did the first business ecosystem 7, 8 years ago. And I think it's a typical R&D dilemma. We're reaching TRL7 at the end of the project. Then you are requested to have a critical mass to populate it, because if you don't populate it, you don't create turnover. If you don't create turnover, you don't have anybody. I think this was the aim of your question. You don't have anybody who takes responsibility and is capable of really running it, especially governance structures. Who is the gatekeeper? What kind of maturity level do we reach? The maturity level at the moment for business ecosystems in R&D, for me, it's entrance level. Because if you want to open the system, you have to qualify the other partners that are coming in terms of their knowledge, impact, what they can really donate to the system in order to make all together more successful. So in that case, the conclusion is, the question is quite okay. In R&D, it's very, very complicated to come at this level with a big investor behind you. And for sure, if there would be a combination of different projects to upload the impact, the knowledge, the data, the product innovation that is provided to be shared with others, but even really creating real turnover, then for sure this would be a huge impact.
Yeah. If I can add, I think that it's very interesting because this point of Klaus is crucial, the ecosystem itself.
Yeah.
But seeing these 4 projects, we are covering more or less all the supply chain. Because let's consider Posidonia as a starting point, as a waste.
Yeah.
Who decided to use Posidonia as a plant, as a waste, to produce an insulation, needs to find a glue, bioresin. So probably BIOMAT is the best ecosystem where to be and to find collaboration services for it. Okay, say, okay, I like it, but I need to test this kind of material. So here it's MEZeroE. There is another ecosystem for the same company and say, I want to test this as insulation material because I'd like to apply it as an ethics, as an alternative for insulation, EPS, and so on. Okay, very good, you have it. Then there is another ecosystem. Okay, I have it. I need to sell it somewhere and make designer knowing that there is this product. Here is Bio4B, another ecosystem where we can provide comparison with other insulation to an architect and say, okay, there is this Posidonia insulation, is what you need. And these are possible configurations. Oh, I like it. So the architect at that point buy the material and say, okay, this material, I want to track for the building with CE4Con platform, let's say. So another tool and put this information inside. The question is, how can keep all these different tools one after the other? Consider that the player behind it can be the same Posidonia producer. Is probably the big question we need to understand because the ecosystem otherwise is very complex. And we're speaking about potentially 4 different ecosystems with when a single player needs to be inside.
Yeah.
So it's very complex.
No, but it's actually exactly the aim of this conference to bring these kind of very innovative platforms together to leverage each other's competencies. And you exactly touched on it. Maybe that's the winning exploitation plan is to join exploitation plans of all 4 projects to make it more palatable, you know, for the marketplace. So good. I mean, I'm happy with that.
Okay.
Maybe
one more addition, because for sure, as we discuss about business ecosystems, it's very generic what we do, following the schemes that we all know and try to populate them. But I think, from my perspective now, I would say we forget that the successful ecosystem is focusing at a certain niche, like all SMEs would do. And then it doesn't need the huge networks, but the right partners. It's not a question of numbers and facts and figures, but reliable should match 100%, and in the maturity level 1 should give a success level for all of them, because otherwise you will never attract other people to join. In that case, the Big Bang, very huge, always promising turnover pre-calculations, gorgeous, but it's never going to really start somehow, because this nucleus is not strong enough. So we have a lot of process innovation here. This is what I realized. And maybe this is now the strategy, process innovation and crossover with product innovation. but then really concentrate up to the max, reduce to the max in order to kick it off.
All right, I mean, we should stop now, but if there's other questions, feel free. I do have one question about the 8-month project. It's very interesting.
It's a speed project.
Yeah, what's the scalability plan for this?
Let's say that indeed the business model idea was something that we tried to understand better, because obviously we need to have a strong starting point with a platform where circular entities was already defined. So we adapted it, and the idea is to move into the marketability of the product once this complex system for building that was being tested. So in 8 months, we can only make some tests, obviously, not scale up effectively, but test for a complex system, all the capabilities of the integration from different tools. And then leading to the leading partner, in this case, probably the scale to the market.
Right.
Yeah, because 8 months.
Yeah.
8 months.
It's like speed dating, right?
Exactly.
All right, is there any other questions?
Maybe just a quick one from my side about the facade. You mentioned that the solutions that Volky is developing is more bespoke solutions. So are you also looking into reuse option as one of the, let's say, pillars of circularity? But in that case, if it's very much, custom made, doesn't have modularity that we can reuse it later, how do you track that part?
Well, let's say that I think that we are active probably in the market is pushing more than the UK market. UK market as policies are issuing policy in the last year pushing on this circularity. Now it's not requested. So we are trying to anticipate what could be the request in a market where facade can be dismantled not after 50 years as can be common, but after 15, 20 years. So the aspect of reuse, circularity of content, I think could become a major aspect to be considered. And we are trying to anticipate these requests, try to investigate what materials and what technical solution can support us. In this case, obviously, prefabrication and dry materials in general that we currently use because it's the base of our expertise is an advantage. We are not working on concrete. We're working with aluminum, glass, insulation that are dry materials and integrated together. So it's much easier. I think the disease request could come from the market, especially where market are pushing, as in the UK one, next year.
All right, let's conclude with something fun. If for each of you, since we all are familiar with the projects now, if you can give in one word or one sentence a success driver and a challenge or barrier. So one word or sentence for a success driver of the project or the solution, and one word or phrase for challenge or barrier. Joanna, ladies first.
Okay, so I believe the driver will be accessibility, because we are making technology accessible to companies and industry that doesn't necessarily have it inside doors, and technical knowledge. Difficulty, probably the bureaucracy associated with all the process because of the creation of the single entry point and all the process of platform that is very challenging.
Okay, thanks. Fabrizio?
Okay, open innovation as a driver. So this is, let's say, the mantra that we have and we should apply it. And at the same time, I was just thinking the same like Joanna, and it's this bureaucracy or this the governance behind it can be a big challenge in this case. Post project, let's say.
Yeah. Alessandro?
On my side, the index success could be economic impact. So if we can provide information about the economic impact, we'll be successful. On the other side, the major gaps and barrier is economic impact, because if we cannot, we'll fail. So we need effectively to understand now that this is a key part. If we want to boost construction industry and change the actual paradigm using recyclability, environmental impact, circularity, and so on as a concept, we need to arrive to demonstrate not only in the short, but in medium long time, the economic impact of this approach.
It's interesting. It goes against what you were saying earlier, that the economic impact is there, but it's
Yeah, but I would like to lift it on another kind of an abstract level, taking everything into account that you said before. Because again, we are in the building market with our products, and I would just summarize like reliable and easy.
yeah.
Because even economy is
Moves.
environmental, is reliable, and easy means yes, you have to apply it. You have to approach it quite easy. You have to understand what is it about, why is it good. So, and reliability is everything about certification, and even calculation should be precise. It's not about being cheaper, but having a good notice about the price level that I'm going for. So reliable and easy. I think this sounds more or less trivial, but it's ambitious enough.
All right, good. I think we can close here. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.